Well, before he was your typical American citizen, our next guest, Jack Barsky, was Russian-born Albrecht Dietrich, recruited by the KGB to become one of the best-trained secret agents ever sent to the United States. Now, as Ukraine faces an assault of Putin's forces, Russian spies are still lurking abroad and in our country. Here with a look back at his double life and what his undercover job would look like in today's war is Jack Barsky. Jack, thank you so much for being here. Fascinating. You worked as a double agent. You did espionage on behalf of Moscow. How much is that done today, both in Europe and in the United States?
It's done everywhere, but I'm reasonably sure that it's in a different fashion. You know, the illegals were in the KGB era were the elite of the elite. You know, there was a mystique about us. You know, we were the most highly trained, and there were very few of us. But you know, to find us was nearly impossible. Nowadays, I can guarantee you there are more Russian agents in this country and in Western Europe than there have ever been, simply because it's possible, right? The world is much more open, and during the Cold War, the Soviet Union was closed, and there wasn't a whole lot of commercial interaction and so forth. Nowadays, we have students in this country, we have businessmen and so forth, and a country like Russia, they pretty much know who's going abroad and why they're going and where they're going. And I guarantee you, a lot of them are talked to by Russian espionage agencies and ask, can you help us out? So what you wind up is a sort of a small army of would-be spies who are not well trained, but can be successful. Like, for instance, the red-headed lady Butina, who did reasonably well. I mean, she got she befriended folks in the National Rifle Association, but she was a rank amateur. She communicated via social media. There was no training.
Interesting, Jack. As it pertains to both Ukraine and the United States, then, if the intel networks for Russia are so robust, then was bad intelligence given to Putin about how easy it would be to go into Ukraine, or did he disregard it, or did they get it wrong? What happened there?
Okay. Let me tell you, there is no way that Russian intelligence didn't know in great detail what Russia would be facing. Not so much the FSB, but the military intelligence of Russia is one of the best in the world. They're not really that well known, but they are the best of the three. The GRU and even the FSB and the SVR, the other two agencies, I guarantee you they had insiders in Ukraine, lots of them. There's no way that they didn't know that there's an intrinsic hatred for everything Russian amongst Ukrainians. There's no way that they didn't know that. So there's two choices here. Either they were afraid to tell, or they did tell and Putin just dismissed it. It could be a mixture of both, because, you know, Vladimir Putin has had a history, a long history, knowing that he is the smartest man in the room, and just like ignoring the advice from his people. And on the other hand, you know, if you know that you get punished for giving bad news, then you just maybe not talking about it.
Jack, I have to ask just a question that I have. How does a former KGB spy end up in the United States? And what do you make of what Russia is doing now?
Well, I wound up here like everybody else. I got on a plane and eventually got off a plane. And, you know, the reason that I was sent to the U.S. was my language ability and overall ability to operate as a lone wolf in enemy territory. Now, what was the second part of the question, please?
Oh, well, does that mean now you're an American citizen? Did you, like, give up your allegiance to Russia and say, I want to be in the United States, or how does that work?
Oh, my Lord, of course. You know, there's only one answer to that question. I am today legally, intellectually, and emotionally an American. I was born in Germany. I don't consider myself German anymore. It was a long, long, long way to get there, but that's it. It's
God
me.
Bless you. No, the
Thank
second part of my question was, what do you then, from your perspective, with everything you know, what do you make of what Vladimir Putin's done for over a month in Ukraine?
Well, you know, we as a country have not paid enough attention to what Putin has been planning for a long time. He wants to establish Greater Russia the way it once started. And he has been pretty open about it. He has stated in public that he doesn't consider Ukraine a sovereign nation. Ukraine and Russia should be united. And, you know, we had a period when we had an administration that thought, you know, we could play very nice with Vladimir Putin. That was the Obama administration. Reset with Russia. Naive, not paying attention. And so this is where we are at now.
Fascinating. Jack Barsky, by the way, Jack's podcast, The Agent, is available on all streaming services. Jack, great to have you on our team. God bless you. Thanks
for
so much.
having me. Thank you.